Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. In this video, we'll look at how to pronounce necessary, necessarily, necessity, and necessitate. So I've grouped these in two because necessary and necessarily are similar in their stress patterns and sounds, and necessity and necessitate are similar to each other. Of course, you see there's some overlap between all four of these words, but there's one major difference between the two groups, which I'll explain. So when we look at necessary and necessarily, we have our stress on the ne syllable. So I've written it here for you with two S's, ness, so you can think about this letter C making the S sound, and also the letter E makes the eh sound, like in read or said, etc. Often when people see letter E, if they're a non-native speaker of English, they may think of something more like an E sound or an E sound. And this lack sound that's in read and tent and necessary can be a little bit challenging for you. So pairing it with another word with the same vowel can be helpful. Also noting that it does have that clear vowel because that's the stress syllable. But then for our next letter E, we have vowel schwa, which just sounds like an sound. Very short and reduced vowel there. So that's one of the things I think that rewriting the word in a way that makes more sense to your brain in terms of how it's spelled can be very useful. You don't necessarily have to use my way, but I try to follow the standard spelling conventions of English and rewrite words in a way that makes sense. You can also learn the IPA symbols, or International Phonetic Alphabet, the dictionary symbols for whichever dictionary you like. I use IPA because it's the same symbols for the sounds in all languages, so you can learn which sounds you have in your language versus American English and learn kind of accent patterns and have something to compare to in your native language if English is not your first language. Okay, you can learn more about all of the sounds of English, reading the IPA symbols, all of the different accent error patterns you may have in our online courses. I recommend my Sounds of English course for a basic course that will give you a good introduction to all of the sounds and help you pronounce any word, as well as my American Accent 6-week course is going to help you implement those patterns into your speech for an American accent. Okay, so back to necessary. We want to be long, short, short, short. Necessary. We have letters AR saying the air diphthong here. So letters AR can say R, they can say or, they can say air. That can be tricky, knowing which one they should have. So I like picturing the word air to help me remember to do that tense A gliding into the R, air. If R's give you trouble, you might want to start on the R and build from it, like air, airy, sary, necessary. Typically, starting the word in a different place can just trick your mind into getting the correct sounds. As soon as I start the word from the beginning, it's more likely that the old way of saying it, my old habits, will come out. So, saying it slow and then speeding up. Necessary, necessary, necessary. Then when we change to necessarily, we have a new stress pattern where the air syllable then is going to be the main stress, but we will still have secondary stress on the first syllable. So in necessary, it's long, short, short, short. In necessarily, it's going to be short, 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 long, short, short. And we're going to have an and a lee at the end. So it'll be necessarily for the other option there. When we switch to necessity and necessitate, now our ses syllable is where we have the stress, and it's the one that's long and that has the red tent vowel. Our NE is no longer a clear vowel, no longer long. It's now the one that has the schwa sound, and it sounds like na. So just noticing that those two flip-flop, that when we have the stress in the second syllable, necessity, that we have to change to a sound in our first syllable. Typically what I would suggest here is that you start the word on the stress syllable, like cessity, and then you just add your unstressed first syllable as a little stepping stone to that stressed syllable ses. So necessity, necessity. That's going to help you get this to be so short and to have that reduced vowel. What you don't want is to get in this like a necessity start. It's going to change the rhythm, the sound, the pronunciation of the word. Also, in necessity, the letter T is going to sound more like a D sound because it's unstressed. It's between two vowels, so we're going to use a flap T here in American English. Necessity, necessity. So I've rewritten that for you with the D. But when we go to necessitate, necessitate, we no longer use the flap there, and we go back to using a true T sound. So necessity or necessitate, we're going to have that clear A vowel and a clear T sound, necessitate. That one, it's hard to describe why we would do that. We have some rules for how we use T in the middle of words, and necessitate doesn't really follow those rules. There probably is some secondary stress on that last syllable, and that might be why it has the clear vowel and that true T sound instead of the flap. So necessity, necessitate. Watch out when you're saying necessitate that you don't stress that A. You don't want necessitate, but necessitate. So we do have the clear vowel, but it's still a short, unstressed syllable. That's one of the patterns that I often hear where if I have something like organization or something with an A-tion at the end that gets stressed, people will overgeneralize that rule and stress the A in words like necessitate where they shouldn't. Okay, so 4 words, 4 different pronunciations, a lot of details in this class, but for many of you, you might be pretty close. You might be pronouncing these words almost exactly correctly, but until you understand those little differences about the rhythm, how we change different sounds like the T in different iterations of the word, it can be frustrating to know that the way you're pronouncing something is slightly different from what you hear from the native speakers around you. So thank you for this request. If you have a request you'd like to see me cover in our Word of the Day series, feel free to leave that in the comments for this video or any of my videos. Thank you so much, those of you who have subscribed to the channel, liked the videos, left comments and suggestions. I really appreciate your support. And a special shout out to my channel members. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to continuing to bring you extra perks and advantages for having joined the channel. I'll be back again tomorrow with another Word of the Day class, and later today we'll have our live question and answer class. That's every Friday at 12 o'clock Seattle time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. I come on live and people will ask their questions about pronunciation, accent, specific words, patterns, whatever you're struggling with. Even if you don't have a question, it's a great way to come and hear about things that you might not have considered that other people are noticing. And we do that each week, and I look forward to seeing you there. I'll be back again soon, and thank you so much for your support. I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. SpeechModification.com. Bye, everyone. Hope to see you in class later today.